Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Tim Burton is an intriguing film characterized by its unique characters and story. Let's discuss the lighting and color choices that help make this film. Part 1. Jake talks to his dying grandpa. In this scene, Jake finds his grandpa laying on the forest floor behind his house. He rolls his grandpa over to find both of his eyes missing. In his grandpa's final breaths, he tells Jake to go to the children's home on the island and find Miss Peregrine and have her explain everything. His final words being, "I should have told you years ago." At this point in the film, Jake has been told that his grandpa's stories were made up to protect Jake from the truth. This scene leaves Jake with feelings of grief and confusion. These feelings are brought to life with the color and lighting choices of this scene. The scene takes place at night in the woods. There is a bright backlight mimicking the lighting of a full moon shining through the trees. There is also a key light coming from the left side of the screen, illuminating the top of Grandpa's head and casting a shadow on the right side of Jake's face. This lighting setup adds to the suspense and the confusion of the scene where Jake's confused face is illuminated, allowing us to draw on his unsure feelings of how to process his grandpa's last words while also processing his death. The darkness of this scene also adds a mysterious feel, leaving you wondering what happened to his grandpa and if there's any truth to his tall tales. This scene also has a blue tint, alluding to the gloominess of his situation, the ominous of the woods around, and the feeling of isolation and a lifelong struggle of not knowing if the person you look up to is telling the truth. Part 2. The duality of color in different times. One thing that is very interesting about this film is the way that it uses color to differentiate between Jake's time of 2016 and the loop time of 1943. In this scene, Jake is in his time, meeting the peculiar children for the first time right before they all enter the loop together. This scene is naturally lit and has an extremely blue tint, giving the scene an overall depressive tone and representing Jake's feelings about his life in 2016. His parents think that he is mentally ill. His dad is dismissive of his grandpa's stories, and he is grieving the loss of his grandpa. The next scene is after he entered the loop to 1943. It is still naturally lit, but the color quality is much brighter. The colors have more values. The sun is shining and casting a shadow on his face, and the sky is bright blue behind him. This color shift from blue to daytime lighting represents a clarity in Jake's mind. All of the stories his grandpa has told him are true, and he is fulfilling his grandpa's dying wish. This change in color stays consistent throughout the film while the loop exists, as Jake enters and exits the loop. Part 3. Underwater. This scene, Emma has taken Jake to her favorite hiding place, a sunken ship, to talk to him in private. Emma discloses to him that he is peculiar too. She says that only peculiars can enter time loops. In this scene, there is light shining from above at an angle, illuminating Emma's face, representing her knowledge of the situation and that she is sharing this with Jake. When the camera switches to Jake, he seems baffled by her statement, saying there's no way that this could be true. Wouldn't he know himself if he was a peculiar person? Jake's back is to the light, causing his face to be shadowed, furthering the notion that Jake is very confused by this new information about himself. The color in this scene is blue tinted, and there is a mix of lit areas and areas of shadow within the room. This represents the mixed feelings of Emma in her personal space. She really likes Jake and had a close relationship to his grandfather, but was gravely hurt when he stopped coming to see them to protect his grandson. She is afraid to get close to Jake, but is also naturally drawn to his similarities to Abe, who is Jake's grandfather. Part 4. Jake meets Mr. Barron. In this scene, Jake runs back to the time loop to warn Miss Peregrine that there is in fact a holocaust on the island, and unknowingly leads the leader of the evil peculiars to the time loop, putting everyone at risk. In the cave where you enter the time loop, Mr. Barron reveals himself to Jake, changing forms from the beach birdwatcher to Jake's therapist and finally to Mr. Barron, disclosing to Jake that he has been following him, trying to find this loop that his grandfather has kept hidden for so long. This scene is a turning point in the movie from existing to a fight for survival against Mr. Barron and the Holocaust he has brought with him. The cave is dark, only lit by a key light on the right side of the screen, casting a heavy shadow on Mr. Barron's face as he talks, accentuating his features and causing his white eyes to almost glow, adding to his evil demeanor. The light is casting blue, foreshadowing the uncertainty of the future now that Mr. Barron has found the loop.